very carefully staged for the public. And the message from Charles was very clear. It was, I am open to this reconciliation. And what Harry has done and what his PR team have done, for which, plenty of people will criticize them, but let's be honest, it's a PR technique as old as time, is to build a narrative in the media, build a narrative that he's coming back, that Meghan's coming back, that he can be half in, half out, that he can do jobs, that he is available, that he misses his old life. And we've actually seen, of course, Harry saying that himself in that piece that he wrote about how much he missed the banter, etc., etc. And I think really now this is going to be the biggest test of Charles's reign. Is Charles gonna let this man baby, frankly, who, insulted him in his memoir, said that he was weak, said that his wife was evil and a scheming plotter. There has been radio silence on it. So, and in fact, if anything, what we've actually seen is suggestions that the king in his role as the head of the armed forces probably should be there. Right? Now, that's not the point. The point is not that the king is the head of the armed forces. The point is that the charity is headquartered by a guy who went to a great deal of trouble to try and harm the institution of which Charles is the head. I mean, it's, I don't know how many times one can say this, but Harry did not have the best interests of the monarchy at heart in his memoir Spare, right? Let's just put it that way.
Of course not. And what this is doing is absolutely shattering to a million pieces what William wants and what, to a lesser extent, but she backs her husband Catherine wants. And actually, Tom, I would even argue what Camilla wants, which is exile, permanent exile. Like, is he living in a parallel universe? But the reality is, he has been given some hope by his father, has he not? And this has led to this delusion. I mean, part of me thinks he's been on the wacky backy, seriously. Like, seriously. But you say William is going to be absolutely concerned for good reason. We are on a mission to 700,000 subscribers. So I need you to do something for me right now. It is free. It is easy. It is simple. Just hit that subscribe button on YouTube. That's because over 50% of you watching this video haven't done that yet. And it is the best way to support Outspoken. We're totally independent, by the way. No big tech backing, no billionaires pulling the strings. And if you turn on the bell, you'll get alerted to all our new videos.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? When you look at that clip from Us Weekly that you just played there, it's extraordinary, the level of chutzpah. They've put it in a box, they've taped the box shut, and they've sent the box off to Sandringham. Do you know what I mean? And it's kind of done.
Totally.
So totally. I don't really buy it.
Although, if he is going to write this book, and look, for a long time, his people have always denied to me that there is going to be a book. Andrew Lowney is picking up something else. So actually, what we're going to do is we'll move over to the second part of the Royal Uncancelled After Show on Substack to talk about that. And also, actually, a reminder that next week is the start of a court case which I think could destroy Prince Harry's reputation once and for all. Huge amounts on the line for Harry. He will be here, we believe, next week. So we'll get into that and this book and so much more in the second part of the Royal Uncancelled After Show with Tom Sykes over on Substack. He is, of course, the author of The Royalist on Substack as well. You can sign up to watch at www.outspoken.live. Paid monthly and annual subscribers get first access to our Royal Uncancelled After Show twice.
Now, I say buckle in for a really, really interesting 2026.
Well, of course, and we know, and we will speak about it, that Prince William has now hired one of the UK's top crisis managers to join his team at Kensington Palace because he sees perpetual crisis ahead. But Tom, in answer to your earlier question, don't we know the answer to that? Don't we know that the answer from Charles is yes? He is going to allow that. And as unpalatable it is for some royal fans, And as we both say, unfortunately, we are here to report the truth. And sometimes the truth doesn't fit the narrative. Charles actually wants this divide. Charles actually wants a challenge to William. He doesn't have a problem with that, because from Charles's point of view, William's getting a bit too big for his britches. So the idea of a rival royal court with Harry challenging William is not actually something that King Charles, as bizarre as it sounds, is against.
Well, I think they totally are. If they're allowed back in the country and they're allowed to start representing the royals again, and there's no accountability, to use one of their favourite words, for the unbelievable damage that they sought to inflict on the royal family, that sort of ultimately actually didn't really work, right? Like, and I think that if you talk to Harry's friends at the time that the book and the film were coming out, it was pure fury, it was pure rage. It was like, we want to understand. Now, of course, it's very like, oh, we love the institution and we want to work with it again, actually. And it's like they took a shot at the king and they didn't kill him, you know, which is a very dangerous thing to do, quite literally. And now there's a sort of rewriting of history, which is like, oh, actually, you know, the book and the film weren't really designed to damage the monarchy. The king has been making overtures. There are plenty of people who are happy to go, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir, and go along with Charles's, frankly, crazy plan to allow Harry back, to set up a rival court, to stir up trouble for William and make him look better. This is going to be the biggest test of Charles's reign. Is Charles gonna let this man baby, frankly, who, you know, insulted him in his memoirs, is Charles going to allow that person back in on a sort of informal representative of the royal family, build a narrative that he's coming back, that Meghan's coming back, that he can be half in, half out, that he can do jobs, that he is available, that he, you know, he misses his old life.
Prince Harry's delusional half in, half out dream refuses to die. Tom Sykes of The Royalist, learning that Harry will not launch any new legal action against the UK press after his latest Daily Mail case ends because, for example, Tom, absolutely no shutting down of the suggestion that Charles is open to appearing alongside Prince Harry at the opening of the Invictus Games in 2027, which is William's worst nightmare. But first, do you remember when you could bounce back without even thinking about it? You'd push hard, sleep it off, and you were fine. Now it can feel like your body files a complaint after a long week, a tough workout, a disrupted night's sleep, even just traveling, and recovery takes longer than you'd like. Here's the interesting part. That bounce back isn't just willpower, it's biology. Turns out the secret to healing, recovery, and resilience isn't just luck, it's stem cells. These are your body's built-in repair crew. But as we age, that system slows down. Fewer cells, weaker signals, slower recovery. This is exactly why Qualia stem cell was created. Think of it like this, because remember at that point, Tom, they thought they were going to go and become the biggest successes in Hollywood, be completely financially solvent, billionaires. They had no idea how things would look 6 years on, and they do look very different. But I mentioned earlier, Tom, the fact that William has now brought this crisis management specialist, one of the top crisis management PRs, into his team, into his inner circle. Now, again, I don't buy all of the mainstream reporting on this because there is some suggestion, oh, this is all about bringing William closer to Charles because Charles's former advisor, Julian Payne, works with the new woman. Well, I mean, look, I know Julian Payne, who for a long time was advising the king when Meghan and Harry were in the royal family. He is not about bringing people together whatsoever. He's about throwing other people under the bus.
I mean, look at all the signs, Dan. Your head of PR is in the United Kingdom. Why would you hire somebody operating in a time zone
100%.
8 hours different to you Do you know what I mean? All of Harry's charities are in the UK. Scotty's Little Soldiers, Invictus, Travelist, whatever. You know, there's nothing left in the US. The Parents Network is gone. Like, it feels to me very much like people tying up loose ends, closing everything down in the United States, coming back home with their tail between their legs. Terribly sorry, Pa. Please, can we come back? That's what I think is happening.
100%. And you're right. Some of this tough talk from Buckingham Palace is just not believable.
Prince Harry has family ties in the UK, but he's putting down roots in Hollywood. In this week's cover story, we explore why he's hoping to find a happy medium. A source says that Harry is so happy living in the private world. Even though he was raised as a royal, he was never comfortable in that environment. He feels more like himself in California. Regardless of where Harry feels he truly belongs, the public still holds him to royal standards. A source tells us he's aware of the optics, but he's trying not to worry about it because he isn't a working royal. Harry wishes he didn't have to choose between his old life and his new one, with a source saying that despite his September sit-down with King Charles, Harry has no intention of returning to the royal fold full-time, but would be happy to step in when needed. Royal author Christopher Anderson tells us Harry has always said the door remains open to some sort of relationship with the royal family. Meghan's focused on their life in Montecito, but he's holding out hope that he can eventually divide his time between California and the UK. Anderson adds that Harry wants his children, Archie and Lilibet, to get to know their British relatives, but he can't make that happen unilaterally. He adds they're learning about Britain in small doses.
These carefully orchestrated royal schedules reveal just how deeply the rift between Prince Harry and Prince William has carved through the House of Windsor. When Harry returns to the UK next week for his final major tabloid trial, the timing isn't coincidental, it's strategic. Prince Harry will step into the High Court on January 22nd, 2026, to testify in what could be his most significant legal victory, yet against Associated Newspapers Limited. But while Harry prepares to face the publishers of the Daily Mail in court, his brother William and sister-in-law Catherine will be hundreds of miles away in Scotland. Their engagement's scheduled for January 20th, just 2 days before Harry's testimony. This isn't just family avoidance. This is the monarchy protecting itself from what royal sources are calling a dangerous precedent. The unpredictable chaos that follows in Harry's wake every time he sets foot on British soil. The lawsuit Harry's pursuing represents everything that terrifies the working royals about his continued legal crusade against the British press. 7 high-profile plaintiffs, including Elton John, Elizabeth Hurley, and Baroness Doreen Lawrence, are alleging that Associated Newspapers engaged in illegal information gathering practices that sound like something from a spy thriller. We're talking about private investigators secretly placing listening devices inside cars and homes, accessing private phone conversations, and paying police officials for insider information. Associated Newspapers has denied these allegations, calling them preposterous. But here's what should worry William and Catherine. Harry's track record in these cases is becoming frighteningly effective. In 2023, Harry testified against Mirror Group newspapers in a phone hacking case that ended with the publisher apologizing for unlawful information gathering, covering Harry's legal costs, and paying him approximately £300,000 in damages. Just last month, in January 2025, Harry reached another settlement with News Group Newspapers, the publisher of The Sun, which apologized for serious intrusion into his personal life between 1996 and 2011, and paid substantial damages. 2 major victories. 2 public apologies from British media giants. And now, a third case that could set an even more dangerous precedent for the royal family's relationship with the press. The timing of William and Catherine's Scottish trip reveals everything about how the monarchy is handling Harry's return. Royal sources have been unusually candid about the strategy. King Charles doesn't wish to be linked to any court proceedings, so he'll give his son a wide berth during this visit. Charles will be safely tucked away in Scotland for his traditional post-Christmas stay, while William and Catherine will be in Stirling for official engagements. It's a masterclass in royal damage control, but it also exposes the extent to which Harry's legal battles have become a source of institutional anxiety. The working royals aren't just avoiding Harry, they're actively scheduling around him to prevent any possibility of being drawn into the media circus that surrounds his court appearances. Sources close to William and Catherine's inner circle have been remarkably blunt about their position. One told the Daily Beast, Catherine and William have been very clear they want peace and quiet for them and the kids. A visit from Harry, with all the drama that would bring, would be the opposite of that. That word, drama, is doing a lot of work here. It's not just about family tensions or awkward encounters, it's about the media frenzy. the public speculation about reconciliation, and the unavoidable questions about the monarchy's unity that arise every time Harry appears in the UK for these high-profile legal proceedings. Another source added, "They have come to terms with the estrangement from Harry and are content to let sleeping dogs lie. This isn't the language of a family hoping for reconciliation. This is the language of an institution that has decided Harry represents too great a risk to their carefully managed public image." The dangerous precedent isn't just about this particular trial. It's about what Harry's continued success in court means for the royal family's long-term relationship with the British press. For decades, that relationship has been built on a delicate balance of access and discretion, cooperation and controlled conflict. The royals provide content, the press provides coverage, and everyone understands the unwritten rules. Harry's legal victories are systematically dismantling that arrangement. Each successful case, each public apology, each substantial settlement payment creates a new template for challenging press intrusion. It emboldens other public figures to take on media giants they might previously have considered untouchable. What's truly troubling for William and Catherine is Harry's willingness to testify publicly in these cases, which means he's repeatedly putting royal business into the public record. Family disputes, private conversations, internal palace dynamics all become courtroom fodder. When Harry testified in the Mirror Group case, the courtroom became a stage for revelations about his personal life, his mental health struggles, and his grievances against both the press and his family. The January 22nd testimony promises to be even more explosive. Harry will spend a full day giving evidence about alleged intrusions into his private life, potentially covering the period when he was still a working royal, when he was beginning his relationship with Meghan, and during the tumultuous years leading up to their departure from royal duties. Every detail that emerges from that courtroom will be dissected by the media and the public. Every revelation about how the press allegedly spied on Harry could reflect on the broader royal family's relationship with those same media outlets. And every moment Harry spends on the witness stand reinforces his position as someone willing to air the monarchy's dirty laundry in pursuit of his personal justice. The security situation adds another layer of complexity to William and Catherine's concerns. The Home Office is reportedly ordering a full threat assessment for Harry for the first time since 2020, with indications that his taxpayer-funded armed security may be reinstated for UK visits. This comes after Harry lost a High Court appeal last May over his police protection in the UK. The security question has been one of the most contentious aspects of Harry's relationship with his family since leaving royal duties. Harry has argued that he faces genuine threats and deserves protection when visiting the UK. The palace has maintained that security should be tied to working royal status. Now, with reports suggesting that protection may be restored, William and Catherine face the prospect of Harry receiving the kind of security support that comes with significant public cost and media attention. Reports suggest King Charles may have offered Harry and Meghan accommodation at Highgrove House, his private Gloucestershire residence, should they be open to a visit. On the surface, this sounds like a gesture of reconciliation. In practice, it represents another challenge for William and Catherine's strategy of maintaining distance. If Harry stays at a royal residence, it creates the appearance of family unity and support that contradicts the working royal's careful positioning. If he doesn't, it reinforces the narrative of family division. Either outcome draws William and Catherine into a story they're desperately trying to avoid being part of. The broader context of Harry's family relationships makes this trial appearance even more fraught. While Harry did meet with King Charles for the first time in 19 months during his September 2025 visit to the UK, that encounter appears to have done little to bridge the fundamental gaps in their relationship. Prince William and Prince Harry haven't been seen publicly together since their father's coronation in May 2023. They were reunited privately at their maternal uncle Lord Robert Fellowes' funeral in Norfolk in August 2024, but reportedly didn't speak or sit next to one another. That image captures the current state of their relationship perfectly. Two brothers at a family funeral, physically present, but emotionally absent from each other's lives. Harry's own words about reconciliation reveal the depth of the divide. In May 2025, he told BBC News, "Of course, some members of my family will never forgive me for writing a book. Of course, they will never forgive me for lots of things. But, I would love reconciliation with my family. Life is precious. I don't know how much longer my father has. He won't speak to me because of this security stuff, but it would be nice to reconcile." This statement contains multiple layers of accusation and grievance, wrapped in the language of reconciliation. Harry simultaneously acknowledges that his actions, particularly publishing his memoir Spare, have created irreparable damage, while suggesting that his family's response is unreasonable. He frames his father's silence as being about security stuff, rather than acknowledging the broader context of his public criticism of the monarchy. For William and Catherine, this kind of public commentary represents exactly the type of drama they're trying to avoid. Every time Harry speaks about family reconciliation, he inevitably includes criticism of how the family has treated him. Every expression of desire for better relationships comes with implicit or explicit blame for the current situation. The timing of this trial appearance, coming just months after Harry's September meeting with Charles, creates additional pressure. If the meeting had led to meaningful progress in their relationship, Harry's return for the trial could have been an opportunity for further family engagement. Instead, the careful scheduling to avoid any overlap suggests that September's encounter did nothing to change the fundamental dynamics. William and Catherine's strategy of avoidance isn't just about this particular visit. It's about establishing a long-term approach to managing Harry's periodic returns to the UK. As long as Harry continues to live in California while pursuing legal action against British media outlets, these situations will recur. Each trial, each settlement, each court appearance creates another potential flashpoint for family drama and public speculation about reconciliation. The dangerous precedent extends beyond immediate family considerations to the broader institutional health of the monarchy. William and Catherine represent the future of the institution, and their approach to Harry sets the tone for how the monarchy will handle internal disputes and public criticism going forward. By maintaining distance from Harry's legal battles, they're sending a clear message that the working royals won't be drawn into personal grievances or individual vendettas against the press. But they're also risking the appearance of coldness and disunity that could undermine public support for the monarchy. The challenge for William and Catherine is that Harry's legal successes make their strategy of avoidance look increasingly untenable. If Harry continues winning cases and extracting apologies and settlements from major media outlets, his position as a victim of press intrusion becomes harder to dismiss or ignore. His willingness to fight these battles in court starts to look principled rather than vindictive. At the same time, each victory reinforces Harry's narrative that he was right to leave the UK and distance himself from a system that couldn't protect him from media harassment. This creates an uncomfortable parallel with William and Catherine's own relationship with the press, which relies on the very outlets Harry is successfully suing. The January 22nd testimony will likely provide new details about the alleged surveillance and intrusion Harry experienced during his time as a working royal. If those revelations are particularly damaging or embarrassing, William and Catherine's absence from the UK could look like they're abandoning Harry rather than maintaining appropriate institutional distance. The broader question is whether Harry's legal campaign represents a genuine threat to the monarchy's stability, or simply a personal vendetta that will eventually exhaust itself. William and Catherine's careful avoidance suggests they view it as the former, a systematic challenge to the established order that requires defensive positioning rather than engagement. The financial implications alone are significant. Harry's previous settlements have reportedly totaled hundreds of thousands of pounds, with legal costs likely adding substantially more. If the Associated Newspaper's case follows the same pattern, it will represent another major financial victory that validates Harry's approach and potentially encourages others to follow suit. For media outlets, Harry's success creates a concerning precedent about the costs of aggressive coverage of public figures. For the royal family, it raises questions about whether their own relationships with those same outlets are sustainable in the long term. The security reinstatement issue adds another dimension to these concerns. If Harry receives taxpayer-funded protection for his UK visits, it creates a financial link between his legal activities and public resources that William and Catherine have no control over. Their careful positioning as working royals focused on their duties becomes complicated by their family members' use of public security for what are essentially personal legal battles. The accommodation offer from Charles at Highgrove creates similar complications. A private royal residence provides the security and privacy that Harry needs, but it also creates the appearance of institutional support for his activities. William and Catherine's absence from any such arrangement would be noted and analyzed, potentially creating more drama than their presence would. As Harry prepares for his January 22nd testimony, the working royals find themselves in an impossible position. They can't support his legal battles without appearing to endorse his criticism of the press they need to work with. They can't oppose his battles without appearing to side with outlets accused of illegal surveillance. They can't ignore the situation without appearing callous toward a family member seeking justice. Their solution, strategic absence and careful scheduling, represents a holding pattern rather than a long-term strategy. It works for this particular trial, but it doesn't address the fundamental tension between Harry's legal campaign and the monarchy's institutional needs. The dangerous precedent isn't just about one trial or one family dispute. It's about whether the monarchy can maintain its traditional relationship with the British press while one of its most prominent members systematically dismantles the assumptions that relationship is built on. When Harry takes the witness stand on January 22nd, he'll be several hundred miles away from his brother and sister-in-law, who will be carefully positioned in Scotland to avoid any association with his testimony. But the implications of what he says in that courtroom will follow William and Catherine long after they return from their Scottish engagements. The precedent being set isn't just legal, it's about how the modern monarchy handles internal conflict, public criticism, and institutional loyalty. Harry's willingness to fight these battles alone, while his family strategically distances themselves, creates a new template for royal crisis management that prioritizes institutional protection over family unity. Whether this approach proves sustainable remains to be seen. But as Harry prepares to spend another day in court pursuing justice against the British press, his family's absence speaks as loudly as any testimony he might give about the current state of the House of Windsor.